Alrighty, everyone. Thank you for joining Healthcare Administration Student Forums and UPD's third general meeting. Bibi, the sign-in sheet should be in the chat, but if not, please ask Eric De La Torre for the sign-in sheet personally if it's not showing up in your chat. But again, thank you so much for everyone who's joining tonight, and people are putting on their cameras. Thank you, thank you. All righty. Now we have a lot of questions from students and personally officers alike. So let me just get started for the speakers. Do you mind please telling me your name, background, occupation, and then where you are seeking if you are currently in graduate school, or where you sought higher education if you have already finished. And I see Bryan Thomas first. So if you don't mind going first.
Great, I didn't expect that. But before I get started, I only see a few cameras on, and we're not in school. We don't have nobody's professor here. I'm not talking to no blank screens. So if officers, I appreciate you guys getting on, but students wise, I'm a student just like you right now. I need faces. I can't talk to blank screens. So until they pop up, then I can go. So let me see some smiles, some faces, something. I need some energy. I don't do blank screens.
I respect that, Bryan. I respect it.
You ain't gotta say nothing. I'm not worried about if your background looks horrible. You frying chicken, you eating dinner, you at the table. I don't care. I just need energy. I need faces. I need interaction. It don't matter. I just need faces up there. There we go. I see some professors. Look at that. Y'all got professors in here tonight, man. It's big time tonight. Man, they came to see me speak. I love it. There we go. I see some more folks. Don't be shy. We can get in here. There you go. Y'all got backgrounds. Here we go. I'm going to use up all y'all time tonight. Let's go. Let's get it. I'm going to start off briefly. My name is Bryan Thomas. I graduated class of 2020. Yes, I am a recent graduate from healthcare administration. I'm currently pursuing my master's degree in business administration here at Long Beach. So yes, I'm still on campus, and yes, you can have lunch with me. Yes, you can talk to me. Yes, I'm available for you. That's first. Keep popping up, y'all. Come on now. I know I'm not talking to myself out there. Keep popping up. Let's go. Once again, I'm currently pursuing that master's degree here. Right now, I am a credentialing specialist at Encompass Health. We are a rehab hospital, and rehab is in rehabilitation as an acute care. I do not deal with any drugs or anything like that part. So broken bones, spinal injuries, and different things that way. What I do in the hospital is that every doctor, every nurse practitioner, every physician's assistant that comes through my hospital must see me first before they touch any patient in my hospital. I deal with paperwork, and more paperwork than you ever asked to see. But guess what? The care and treatment of my patients are my main priority. I'm making sure that my doctors are credentialed correctly. That's just a brief touching of me. You guys, it's like 55 of us, and I got like 10 screens up. You killing me. Come on. I know the chicken is good. I know it's good out there. If you're not eating chicken, that means you're eating vegetables. It's okay. We can blur out the background. Don't worry if your kids are in the house today. They can join Zoom tonight too, because they're going to get some information fed to them about grad school and life.
Thank you, Bryan. And I know that we'll probably get some more screens later on in the meeting, but let's move on to our next speaker. Curtis, if you don't mind, your name, background, occupation, and then where you sought higher education.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Curtis Pruitt. So I graduated Long Beach in 2019. I spent 3 years at Chalk Children's Hospital doing some data support in their pediatric oncology department. And then I did a post-bac to complete my medical school prerequisites at Fullerton. They have a really great program over there. And then I'm now currently an M1 medical student at Kaiser Permanente School of Medicine in Pasadena. And super excited. I get to go back down to Long Beach every Thursday. I'm right there at the traffic circle. So if there's a student in the office, that's me. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Alrighty, next we have Jose.
Hello, everyone. So what were the questions again?
Oh yeah, no problem. Your name, background, occupation, and then where you're seeking currently higher education, and maybe a little bit of background of why it's so personal that you're here.
Of course, no. So hello, everyone. My name is Jose. I actually just graduated from Cal State Long Beach. I have my BS in health administration. Yes, so great for me. I'm also, right now I'm at USC. I'm doing an MHA program, and I just started out, so I am waiting to see my next steps. I know there's going to be internships and other opportunities, so I'm excited for that. But I'm here to answer any questions I can.
Thank you. And then next we have Professor Villaruz.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rafael Villaruz. I'm one of the professors here in the HCA program, but also I am a healthcare consultant at Kaiser Permanente. I was a department administrator at Kaiser Permanente for the last 7 years and just moved into consulting. Kimberly asked, where's my graduate program from? I went to Cal State Fullerton for my MBA and finished up my doctorate at USC. So really excited to be here and really excited to answer questions. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that is all the speakers. Yes, all right, we can get started with the next few questions. Okay, so for the current graduate students, I have a couple of questions for you. So I'm assuming, yes, that is Bryan, Jose, and then Curtis, would you count yourself as that? Yes, no, maybe so?
Yeah, I guess medical school is a little bit different.
Yeah.
I consider it's a bit of a vocation, but I definitely would consider grad student. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the first question is, did you always know you wanted to go to graduate school or seek higher education? And let's start off with Jose, if you don't mind.
Sorry, my computer keeps cutting off. Say the question again.
No, you're all good. Did you always know that you wanted to go to graduate school or seek higher education?
No, actually, when I, initially growing up, I honestly didn't expect myself to, go to higher education. So, I actually, once I started going to school, I was not doing well when I was like in high school, for example. And then I went to community college, took a bunch of classes, and I realized I actually like school. So I decided to continue on, and I was a biochemistry major, and it wasn't for me. So I got into the business aspect because I wanted to get into like medicine. So I got into the business aspect of it. Got accepted at Long Beach, and it really, to me, since I just want to give a little story. I've had a lot of health issues, and just gaining a perspective as to how the administrative side has been very enlightening, and I'm here to help hopefully make change in the industry.
Thank you for sharing. Curtis, do you mind going next?
Yeah, so graduate school. So I always thought that I would get a bachelor's, and then after my time at Long Beach, I knew that I wanted to go into more of the caregiving side of the profession. But at first, I thought that was going to be nursing for me. So right out of graduating, that's kind of what I moved towards. And then the path to deciding to actually take the leap and apply to medical school was, that was a long kind of arduous journey for me to kind of convince myself that that's something I could do. But yeah, so I'm first generation college grad in my family. So even getting my bachelor's was, a big step for my family. And I definitely, all those people who are thinking about grad school after their HCA degree, I know that for me, there is some hesitation of like, well, what can I do with it? And I think you'd be surprised by just how wide your options are when you start looking.
Thank you. Bryan, do you have anything to say on it?
Yeah, I was going to the NBA. I thought I was the next Michael, I was the next Kobe. And no, it didn't work out that way. My GPA in high school was a 0.83 at one point in time. Mm-hmm. Yes, you heard that correctly. It was 0.83. And I went the other career route. I went and got me a job out of high school and saw that the workforce has no respect for a person. when you don't have a slight bit of education background behind you and you just want to go out and do a laborer's job. They don't care about your body at all. And then finally the light bulb went off. I decided to go back to junior college, then began to find different resources that really expanded my foundation from there. And then from my foundation being expanded, Cal State Long Beach was one of the top programs for healthcare administration. And then from there, I want my master's degree for a whole lot of reasons. And you can personally ask that to me one day at lunch, and I'll be glad to just show you why I want my master's degree. So.
Thank you. I think a lot of from your stories, the word that comes to mind for me is motivation. There's a sense of what drives you. And so, and to ask that a question, what motivated you to either pursue or stay in graduate school? And Bryan, you can touch on that.
It was my mom. So my mom says, I gotta do good. We'll be fine, we'll be strong in this one. So my mom passed away, and she was my backbone for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Curtis, anything to say?
Yeah, it's medical school is kind of like it's grad school, but it's also a little bit of a different beast. The motivation to not just do a 3-year program, to commit to like more of an 8-year journey of education. I think really when I spent my time doing research, I saw the kind of impact that physicians can have on the caregiving space and on research. And I got to see the overall scope of what physicians get to do, the role they get to play in people's care and people's lives. And I figured it was something I really wanted to do. Like I said, it was a long decision. There's a lot of opportunity costs that you put up when you decide to go to school for 8 years, especially knowing that, at this point I could have had a career in research administration, which is something you can do with your HCA background. And but yeah, I think it was just kind of that challenge of knowing that there's more out there for me that I could do. And I think that's what kind of drives me.
Thank you. Jose?
Yes, I hear a lot of parallels. So, what motivated me to actually get into like the health field was not my health, actually. It really motivated me as well, but it started off with my little sister. She had a genetic disorder that was just really deteriorating. And for 18 years of her life, she was always in and out of like, honestly, every type of healthcare setting. Clinical setting, and it was just a lot of interesting insight that I got, being there by her side and getting into school and understanding like the business aspect, and then being in Cal State Long Beach, just seeing just the intricacies really made me want to even go further in this field, just to make it, like I said, understand it and just see where I can get into, to spark some change.
I like that. Thank you. And now this next question is for the rest of the speakers as well. So you guys are all welcome to provide some insight on this, but what were or are the resources you are using in graduate school? Let's say scholarships, financial support, clubs, networking events, or associations that you think are beneficial for not just healthcare administration, but just anyone can use. What are the resources, events, and things that can get you excited for graduate school? I know many are nervous.
Can I hop in, Kimberly?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the resources you kind of touched upon is really has to do with like the community that you have, that networking piece within that school, right? And one of the biggest things that kind of helped push me into taking grad school was the kind of the conversations that I would have with like-minded individuals, with professionals. I didn't go to grad school until 7 or 8 years after I graduated my undergrad. So I had a lot of professional experience under my belt, but at the same time, I wanted to have like-minded people around my age that are trying to are working professionals and trying to move on in their career. So those resources, specifically with networking, helped me. I got my MBA. I didn't even stay within healthcare. I was going into my master's program thinking I was going to transition out. but something in healthcare really keeps you there, right? It's like the ability to provide services for patients, help them like feel better. And I think just that in general is like really what kept me in healthcare. But the resources of networking, understanding like what is tech doing and how can we pull tech into healthcare? What is service industry? I had a lot of people that that worked at Disney. What are they doing? How can we pull that into healthcare, right? Because at the same time, we're all an industry, we're all a business. And how do we make our business impactful to the patient, provide that best service? So really, to like long-winded answer, but networking, I cannot stress it enough. I have students in here that are probably like, okay, Rafael, like it's enough of this, right? But it's really big. It's all about relationships. It's all about that communication, and you grow together. So just wanted to share that.
And I kind of wanted to spin the question a little bit now that knowing a little bit more about your background, but what motivated you to go back to school? Was it career-wise? Was it a career opportunities, different paths?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna kind of echo Bryan. My mom always told me, you never want anyone to say no because of your education. So figure that out. And it really didn't sit with me after undergrad. But as I was kind of working in healthcare, and I was like, oh, she's right? Like, yeah, I don't want them to say no to me if I'm going for a director position or a managerial position. So it was kind of one of those things like, okay, it's time. I want to move on with my career. I want to move up the trajectory. And yeah, that was my biggest motivation.
Thank you. And then this is one of the questions that I actually got from one of our students. And I don't know if you guys can provide any insight onto this, but please do, or anything, or get back to us, because I know that this is an important question. And this is again for all the speakers. What kind of resources and support is there for students with children? And have you seen it made an impact on where people decide to go for their programs of higher education? If any of you.
I could share. When I went to grad school, my youngest was about like 6 months, 9 months, right? And fortunately, I have a wonderful wife who was able to kind of support me through it. But I think the resources for children is really having that conversation with your professor. All your professors know you're working, right? And I think just being transparent with your situation is also going to help them understand where you're coming from too, right? I would tell my professors, I'm driving 40 miles to school from LA all the way to OC. If I'm late, like that's what it is. So I think that dialogue is really important for at least having children. But I don't know if anyone else knows any other resources.
And again, if any of you guys have any information that later on you think would be helpful, please send that my way, and I will definitely give it to the rest of our students. The next question is, what are some of the professional development programs specifically for graduate students? I know that there's fellowships, mentorships, research opportunities, and Curtis, specifically in your case, you kind of went to the doctor route, something that maybe not a lot of healthcare administration majors think about as an option.
Yeah, I think going the medical, making that hard transition from the business side of medicine to the science side of medicine, it's pretty daunting. I don't know if we have anyone in the audience tonight who's kind of thinking about that, but there's a lot of resources out there to kind of tell you how to do it. I'm not going to belabor it for all those people who aren't interested in it. But Fullerton has a great program. I'll plug them. There's a few of us Fullerton grads at Kaiser, and great program. Look into it if you're interested. I'll send my email to you guys, and if you want to reach out, I'm happy to have a chat. It's a lot, but it's definitely done.
And again, to the rest of the speakers, if you have anything professional development wise, have you guys ever experienced fellowships, internships that are interesting, but you had to grapple with, do I have to sacrifice work or family time or even social life? How do you balance that, especially with the climate now currently with California and its graduate students right now?
I'll just jump on that one if I can. On the undergrad HCA, we all have to take the internship part. Take that serious. Like go in there and take that as a literal job that you can potentially work for this employer. You're gonna grab great skill sets. Yes, oh wow, I'm doing a project. What are you doing? I'm filing papers away. Somebody's watching you file papers away. And then that's when they say, hey, we're gonna have an opening. And you never know that just because you filed a paper correctly, how far that actually goes. You're learning little bitty things within the network span of you just working inside whatever hospital that you might be, or whatever internship that you have that's there. That's key. That right there builds off of going back to your networking, because they're there, they see you, they know who you are. A lot of us inside HCA, I wonder if you guys know who Professor Kill is. Do you guys know who Professor Nancy Hayes is? Professor, I'm drawing blanks on names now all of a sudden now, but you know, they all work at these hospitals that we have internships at. Like, we have access to these professionals that are right here for us, and we don't realize it. And we're just taking these, oh, I gotta do an internship, I have to show up there, oh my gosh. No, it's like, that's great. Take the internship because you're learning something about the hospital field. That's if that's right you're going, but you're learning key skills on how to network and how to build a foundation of getting bigger. As far as when you get to grad school, they expect you to have that already. They want you to have an internship, but they're gonna ask you to either you're gonna have an internship or you have a job. It's either one of the two. I come to school Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm at work. And that's the choice and, you know, decisions I make. When you get to grad school, there's going to be options for you on which program works best for you. You're going to have to sit down and make that decision, which works best for me. There's an accelerated program, there's an evening program, there's a weekend program. They have different programs, it takes different amounts of years versus a couple of months. And I say months, it's months. It's not 1 or 2, it's months. My program is 21 months here. The evening program was 3 years. I don't want to wait 3 years. I want it as fast as I can get to go. That's very key that you look at what's best fits for you. When you're networking and we talk about it, you don't know who that person knows. I'm saying it again, you don't know who that person knows. When you're networking with somebody, you don't know who they're connected to. So here's an example. I'm a network with Dr. E. Dr. E is friends with Dr. Such and Such. Dr. Such and Such is the HR manager at a big hospital. Yeah. Dr. E, hey, I'm struggling today. I'm looking for work. Oh, okay, hold on, let me make a phone call. Connect with this person. You do that to that person. The next thing you know, you got a job and you don't know how you got this job, but because you networked and you showed that you were responsible from the get-go.
Thank you.
No, and I'm gonna echo to that because, like, you know, back to what he said in the beginning, Brian, you mentioned a lot of professional development even now in your undergrad, you know, for the students in undergrad now. That is honestly, like, you guys were, I was lucky I went to Cal State Long Beach, and I know you guys are very lucky. So take advantage of just making connections with professors, with fellow students. Honestly, that really, it really pushed me to want to continue to do my best, and honestly, like, get involved in with the mentorship program. And for those of you who are maybe taking a minor with the College of Business, they also have opportunities where they can get you a mentor in healthcare, because healthcare is a business. Healthcare administration is a business. You know, it's part of the business of healthcare. So, and then when you're in grad school, I noticed there's so many different professional like what do you call it, professional development organizations that are actually they're easier to get to when you're in grad school. I'm sure you can get to your local chapter even on your undergrad, but the ones I felt so like inspired by when I attended like conferences were HFMA, which is the Healthcare Financial Management Association. You meet a lot of great individuals, and as I'm gonna again echo what Brian said, like, everybody in healthcare, it seems to have a connection. I'm not even kidding. Like, it's such a niche market. Like, I'm like, oh, you know, this person, I went, they were my teacher, or, you know, this person, he was my mentor. Like, it's insane. And honestly, like it even goes to the negative. So if you are, a person who's a little vocal and in a negative way, that will echo in the industry. So be very careful. Honestly, like that's my take.
No, thank you. Thank you.
I have a little bit just to reemphasize what Bryan said about the internship. There's a direct line between my internship to my first job that I got before I graduated, to my letters of recommendation to medical school, like to getting into the program that I'm currently in. So take it serious, and then also like try to find a project you're interested in. A lot of what I talked about, and I still draw back on what I learned throughout the program, but especially in my internship, even now in our curriculum, just soak it up, because you never realize even the smallest things that you think aren't important. A lot of people don't know about healthcare. Even doctors, nurses, people who work in the industry, they may not have that breadth of knowledge that you will have as a graduate of HCA. So yeah, I'd like do that. Also, if you're interested in things, I won't say what program but my boss, where I used to work, the way we got volunteers for our research department was literally if people wrote emails. Like she's like, oh, well, we're just not getting any students this year because no one's writing us. And like we would get, volunteers that would come in through recommendations from doctors or whatnot. But, if you're interested in doing things like medical or clinical research, you can shoot a few emails off and you might be surprised by what lands. So that's my 2 cents.
Could I stamp what Curtis just said for internships? Curtis had mentioned kind of that linkage to letters of rec and all that other stuff. And I just want to echo how important that is. Like interns that I've had under my wing, they don't have jobs within KP, but I've written their letters of recs. I'm their reference checks because I'm intimately aware of their work ethic. And I would kind of liken it back to trying out for a sports team, right? Your internship is trying out for that sports team, for that organization. So it's not just putting your best foot forward, but it has to be a dialogue, right? You got to make sure that it's the fit for you and you're that you're a fit for them. So like Curtis and said, and Jose, like take it seriously. It's something that you may not reap the benefits tomorrow, but you may reap the benefits 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 years from now. And yeah, I just wanted to echo that because that's really important.
This is more of a created question now that we're getting into this discussion a little bit, but do you have any advice on how to get over that hurdle of maybe feeling a little scared to network? Because I know it can be very intimidating. You have people who are professionals in their career and you feel you don't want to burn that bridge quickly by saying the wrong thing, emailing the wrong thing, or whatever. Like, how do you get over that hurdle?
I'm going to be super blunt with y'all. Y'all are students, and it's the time to try that, right? It's a time to refine your craft. So if you're trying to be that perfect individual, to say all the perfect things to that professional, just know us professionals were in your seat too. So it's all comes full circle, really. And kind of going to what Kimberly said, that fear, I mean, that fear is in your mind. You're the one telling yourself no. Let them tell you no. Let them not answer your call or whatever it may be. Don't get into your head. And really, that networking, I wouldn't look at it more so as transactional. I would look more so as relational, right? You are forming relationships not to tap into tomorrow, but to tap into when Curtis is an MD and you're like, oh, we went to school together. Let's do a project together or whatever it may be, or I want to learn from you. So really look at it as an investment in yourself. And I look at it as like compound knowledge, compound networking, not necessarily what's going to happen today, but what's going to happen in the future.
Thank you. Okay, so now to the next question. Or Bryan, do you
wait, no, I want to jump in on that one. This is too good.
No, go ahead.
Can we do a quick role play?
Sure, okay.
What's one food you do not like?
Blueberries.
Blueberries. If I said, Kimberly, can I take you to the blueberry factory tomorrow and we're gonna eat a bunch of blueberries? And you say what?
I don't like blueberries.
Right. So it's no, right? You just
Yeah.
said no. Did you reject me or did you reject the blueberries?
Reject the blueberries.
You guys, when you guys send this stuff out, they're not rejecting you. It's not personal. You don't know what they're on their side, what their budget is, what their planning is, what they got going on. Is they're not rejecting you when you turn your letter in. Do not accept that. That is not about you as a person. That has nothing to do with you. You don't know what's going over there. It might not be the perfect time, the perfect fit. That's not you. You did your part. So don't have that fear of, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. What do I say? Just send it. Hi, my name is such and such. I'm in this right here and here. I'm interested in knowing about your program. What is it about? Can you please get back to me? I would love to meet up with you. Do you have office hours? Is there any way? You just got to take that one little small step. And then if you don't get that feedback back from them, it's okay. Because why? Because you can try the next person and then the person after that one. And then if you start networking, you never know who that person might know for somebody else. So don't have that fear of worrying about what they're going to say to you, because it's not about you. It's never about you. You are the individual. You're doing great. You've already here. You've already accomplished that part there. So the next step is just taking one more little step, send the email out. And if you want somebody to review your email, ask your peers, ask your board members, ask them to ask their professors. They're more than gladly to help you out. Any professor that's in his chat right now, they're more than gladly to help you out. They want you to succeed. Trust me on that part. Okay, now you can go to your next question.
Thank you. No, I love the little role play there. I liked it. Okay, so the next question is, what is the biggest, and again, for all speakers, what is the biggest challenge of attending graduate school? And you can talk from personal experiences or a friend of a friend's, and how did they overcome that? Anyone's welcome to answer as well.
I would say it's when you go into higher education, you feel like you may feel like the imposter syndrome, right? I don't think that that feeling ever goes away, but you always have to tell yourself, remind yourself that everybody else was like, I think Bryan said this and others said this as well, and it's true. Give me 1 second. Everybody was in that same situation, so don't overthink when you do what you have, when you're doing what you're doing, and just literally do all the deliverables that they ask you. Ask a lot of questions. I think asking questions is really essential. And I know since you guys are in health administration, really pay attention in class. I think that I'm in classes now and I'm like, oh my goodness, we did this in accounting. I should have known this more, or in the marketing class, there's things that you learn that you could actually, if you were to have at least maybe studied more, you would have been able to kind of apply that in grad school. But besides that, you guys are in this program and it will help you a lot if you guys decide to do, for example, an MHA or even an MBA and with a concentration in healthcare or an MPH. So yeah, that's my advice.
Thank you.
I think one of the two biggest challenges is time management. 100%. I work full time and I went to school, so it's really building your schedule extremely well, making sure that you're not doing your deliverables the night before, that you have time to rest. That's really, really important, and to kind of bounce back. But also kind of the second piece, and this is this could be kind of, I guess it could be controversial, but for me, I would learn something and I would want to implement it immediately, but not everyone is in grad school at the same time, right? So understanding that things don't change quickly was a big challenge for me, and a really big learning. It's has to be more methodical, has to be more calculated. But those are the two challenges that I experienced.
Thank you. Curtis, Bryan, anything to add? It's totally fine if you don't, and we can move on to the next question. I know that we're running out of time a little bit here. All righty. So the next question is, how do I determine which program or which school is best suited for me? Should students look for the curriculum? Like what should they look for? Should they look for values that they want to show in the workforce? Like they address ethnic, racial, gender, and cultural issues? Or do they respect their students or the opportunities you hear, or the reputation? How does one determine the best program for them?
Well, for me, I literally determined that by going on their website. I went to different schools' websites, and just like you said, like you kind of have to understand the culture, or see, for example, like in our school, they have just like an HCA for CSULB, they have a website dedicated to that program. So you get to see the faculty, you get to read the papers that they, that they have written, and see basically what they feel is important about teaching their students. So for example, like research on equity, for example, there's a professor that really attracted me because she was just extremely active in the community of Los Angeles. So I was like, I can't say no to that, you know? So yeah, definitely do your research, see what you guys like, and call and ask questions too. You can always call a rep or even the administration of that program itself.
Thank you. Great advice.
Use LinkedIn. I asked people what their experience was, right? Like it's not just the website, it's not just the YouTube video that you watch where they, it's like super well done and well made. It's the real experience. And I did that for grad school. I did that for my doctorate, and really asked multiple people, what was your experience? Where do you think their challenges were? Where were their weaknesses? How was your cohort? Who did you learn from? Everything along those lines. So kind of going back to what we first initially talked about, like networking really helped to understand where to go as far as graduate school.
That's actually really great. I wouldn't have assumed to use LinkedIn. I know it's a great asset. Anything to add, Bryan or Curtis?
My biggest things was I want to know how long the program was. What's the graduation rate? What does the alumni look like? How much did it cost? That was big for me. And then my last one was, how far do I have to drive to get there? That was real big for me. I didn't want to take that chance and drive real far. So I know those were big for me. I like what Professor just said about the networking on the LinkedIn part. When you do that, make sure that you give a description of how and why you're reaching out. I've got a lot of stuff that people just want to just sell me anything. They're not even about networking. They just want to have my number scheme go up. Make sure you give them like, hey, who you are, what you're about. You want to know about the program that you just graduated from. You want to know some information. How did you like it? So make sure you add those little criteria in the message when you send that request off.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add. This is probably, again, where maybe medical school application cycles are a little bit different. Some things that I did, in your application, you can kind of attract the right programs. So like my application was very me. It had a lot of my healthcare admin interests. It had a lot of my disparities interest. And so I found that attracted programs with those interests. And then I definitely talk to people. And then, yeah, I think you mentioned like, is getting a school with a name recognition useful? That's something that's interestingly that's talked about a lot at medical schools, is the name recognition. And I would still do a lot of your research on those types of schools, even though they have a great name. Sometimes the way they treat people and their students, it isn't quite as spectacular as the name on the degree. But yeah, I mean, I think if you approach it authentically and try to go to a school that is really going to nurture your interests, and that means finding professors, finding researchers that are going to do that are doing what you want to do, people that you can look to as mentors, I think that's you're gonna have a hard time going wrong.
I kind of think I answered my next follow-up question, is that there are any resources to help students investigate the proper programs? And you guys mentioned LinkedIn, YouTube, their professors, and then alumni. Those are really great resources. Thank you. And then the next question is, what do grad schools really look for incoming students? What do they look for? What will give you an edge? Because I know that some graduate schools are very competitive, and depending on where the student wants to go, how can they determine that edge?
Exactly what Curtis was saying, like put yourself into your application. Like that's just being genuine, and showing that you, for example, reaching out on LinkedIn, for example, if you see someone in that program and ask them questions about it too. Like we're always willing to answer questions. And when I did my, for example, my essay, I actually did research as to certain professors that I thought, and their research that I thought I would want to get into. And I implemented that as well as my story and the essay that you need to turn in for certain programs. And I feel like that really, really helped me, as well as recommendations from professors. So just building those relationships with your professors will really help when you need those recommendations, because they're very, during the, for example, like when I got into the program, they had this event where they kind of, get to know everybody for your cohort. And they brought up a lot of points that I had. And I was like, oh my God, that was me. I was a bioethics intern, for example. And it was just, that really helps.
Mm. Curtis or Brian, do you have anything to add? I see your mics were turned on and off. Don't know.
Yeah, I'll just say that, like, it's hard. I feel like a trap that people fall into is anticipating what a program wants, because when you're applying, it's very true for medical school, and I imagine it's true for MPH programs and the like, is they're looking for a certain thing, even class by class. And so the Kaiser School of Medicine is a brand new program. I'm actually in the 3rd cohort. And when I interviewed, I didn't think I would ever get in, because they interview 11,000, like they interview a ridiculous number of people. And the thing that really, I think that helped me the most was my application was authentic. And like I had just it was what they were looking for. It was almost dumb luck in a way. Like I had the health systems, healthcare administration background that helped me to succeed on the questions and the essays they wanted us to do. And so I think I would say, apply to places even though you think you may not get into, because you might surprise yourself, and be authentic. And then, and yeah, do that research. I know Jose mentioned, name dropping specific programs or specific researchers or professors that you want to work with. That's another thing that they look at, to know that this person is interested enough to go on the website, look up what we're doing, and then to reflect that back to us. And so that would be like, my short tip.
Thank you.
I would just add on, how involved are you on campus wise? I didn't say it, but I used to be the HCA student forum president at one point in time. So that was my little involvement there. And then your letters of recommendation, to me, I think is very big as well. But how do you get a letter of recommendation if you don't know your professors?
Always tying it back. Thank you. All righty. And then our final question, and again, it's all directed towards every speaker, but I specifically want to get Professor Villaruz this question, but you guys are, again, more than welcome to speak. But how has your degree in higher education aided in your career? Was there a specific moment or a specific project that you felt was very beneficial that helped you or launched you in your career?
Yeah, that's a really good question, very self-reflective, but I don't think it was anything as a single point in time. I think it's more so the feeling, kind of going back to what Jose said. I always feel imposter syndrome, even until today. But your imposter syndrome is not as much. So it feels like you mature within your career, right? So not only do you understand things conceptually, maybe your business and financial acumen is high, but there's applicability now, right? And I think as you start to feel that in your career, it's like, oh, I get that. Oh yeah, I learned that, right? Then things start to kind of check the box. Oh, it was worth it. Oh yes, I get to do it. So I wouldn't say it's a single point within your career, but it's as you grow and you start looking back like, yes, that did help me. Oh, I learned that from my colleagues or my classmates. Hopefully that answers that.
It does. Thank you. Does any of the other speakers have anything to add? And I know that some of you guys are in graduate school, have done different routes. Is there anything that you can add to that?
Your bachelor's degree does matter, just so you know, it matters. You can do it. you don't want to go to this level.
Thank you. All right, and I think that's a proper transition into, is there any questions within the members here that would like to ask the speakers? And you guys have the floor. And you guys are more than welcome to put questions in the chat as well. I know we have someone monitoring the chat. If you guys want to ask it there, any questions are more than welcome.
What kind of programs did you guys look into? And I have a follow-up question after that as well. Yeah, so just what kind of programs did you guys look into? I guess is the first question.
Yeah, no worries. I honestly looked at various programs. As you know, like maybe healthcare administration, there are different equivalents to a master's degree. So for example, MHA, and then at Long Beach, for example, they have an MS MHA. And so that's, a different angle of it. And then there's also MPH programs. There's an MBA with or without a concentration in healthcare, but you still get to explore those. And there's also dual programs. So I know, for example, like I had seen UCLA, they had a dual program for an MPH degree with either an MD or an MBA. So you can go that route as well. And at USC, we have, and I didn't do it just because it would be too much for me, but if you guys are interested, they have an MS in gerontology with a concurrent MHA. So, as we know, the aging population is accelerating. So, if you guys want to go in that avenue, it's a good opportunity.
Mm.
Alfredo, I actually only looked at 2 programs because I kind of worked backwards. Like I had a goal of where I wanted to be in my career, and I looked at, if that's an MHA or an MBA to kind of help me get there. But within those 2, there's, like what Jose said, there's concentration. So my concentration in my MBA is about organizational change. So I wanted to focus on that because change management is something that I like to do. I feel like I do well, and I wanted to make sure to hone in those skills. So those are the only 2 I looked at. So I would suggest, where do you want to be, and kind of work your way backwards and look at those programs that'll help you get there.
All righty. I think you can answer your follow-up question, Alfredo.
And then the follow-up question would be, I guess some of us, since we're still getting our BS, bachelor's degree, how do you guys think we should go about looking for, I guess, jobs? Because some of us are planning on graduate school, some of us might not be, but as an entry level position, what are some key words you guys might, because some of you guys mentioned that you recently graduated, what are some key words that you guys look for when looking for entry level positions?
Mine was networking. That was the key word I looked for. Who do I know that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody? I'm just me. I don't think I've, at all of my jobs I've ever had, that I've went there and I applied myself and got that job. I've always known somebody on the inside, or somebody who knew somebody that connected me in there. Network, that's the first thing I'm gonna say apart. The second one, when you reach out for there, remember you're in healthcare. So don't limit yourself to just think that I can only do one thing. And I can only work in a hospital. There's dental, there's chiropractor, there's whatever else that's in this and that. You can go work for the state in Health and Human Services. You can work in public health. There's so many things that because you're healthcare administration, our degree covers so many things that we don't even think about because we only look this far, but in reality, it's everywhere. And so when you go there, just apply, just get in there, see what the interviewing process is like, just get your foot out there, just get in, whatever it takes. So if you see something that you like, research it. Again, if you're gonna go do the LinkedIn route on that part, reach out, hi, my name is such and such. I see that you work there. Can you tell me about what your job opportunities are? What do you do? X, Y, and Z. And you just wanna have that simple conversation, you wanna find out. Then guess what you just did? Now you networked and now you know somebody on the inside, and you don't know that there might be a referral program bonus that may allow them to, use them as a resource or a referral, and then now you're getting in that way. So use your networking part skills on that. my little key point on that one.
Yeah, honestly, oh, sorry. I just want to kind of echo, it's true. And you guys get internships. Like, lucky, I mean, you guys are just extremely lucky, because I know my fellow students in my cohort, they never got to have that experience. And I saw people that, I graduated with that got opportunities through their internships. Me, for example, I was offered to apply to the Kaiser internship that I was in. And, and of course I wanted to go to school, but just getting your foot in the door when you're at an internship, for example, or in any opportunity you have, like LinkedIn, like how Bryan said, right now, that really helps. And you can even ask questions like, oh, so, what position, what's your position? Or you can even ask advice like, what position should I, as a recent graduate, apply to? Because that really helps, asking those type of questions.
Looks like we have some questions in the chat, and thank you, speakers, for answering the questions in the chat.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you as well.
No problem, Alfredo. All righty. I know that there was one question that was not answered. Would it be better to go straight to grad school or gain some work experience first?
Dun, dun, dun. That's the big question that everyone has, I'm sure, right? I think it's important to ask yourself, what are you hoping to get out of grad school? And when you can answer that, that'll kind of lead you to when you should get it. And really why I say that is, I said I didn't go back to grad school for 7 or 8 years after my undergrad. And really, that's because MBA programs, they want you to have work experience. And I kind of knew that I need to figure out how to get that work experience. But what it did help is, because I had work experiences, the conversations were so much more robust, right? So much more mature. Yeah, I may have been a manager at that time. I had people who were more entry level, and you can kind of see like how you learn from different individuals, really that diverse perspective. So to just sell, I would ask yourself, what is your purpose of going to grad school? And then you can kind of figure out that timing.
I 100% agree with what Dr. Villaruz said. And there are other options. I know a lot of people think going right back into work. So I had about 3 years from my program to when I began my graduate school. And it doesn't seem like I learned a lot. Like, you don't feel like you learned a lot in 3 years, but being on the older end of my cohort and having this experience, I find myself just kind of naturally positioned in a position of more of leadership, where people look to me for answers about the subject matters that I am knowledgeable in. And part of that was through my work. And then part of that was also, I spent some time doing AmeriCorps, which I think is a underutilized but incredibly valuable resource if you're looking to either change careers or get very specific experience in things like public health. I would really encourage you look into AmeriCorps if you have the financial ability to kind of take that time and do it. But I have thoroughly enjoyed having that work experience. But I agree, if you're going to grad school just because you think it's the next step, but you're not sure what you want to get out of it, you might be making a misstep.
I get to use the great words of one of our professors tonight. It's called "It Depends." Yes, if you know where that comes from, you know it depends. The reason why I say that, it might be the quick, jump for you to go that route, and the opportunities do change. Just wanted to let you know, if you have no work experience, do not think that you're going to go out and make 6 figures off the top. They're not going to do it. So just understand that the money, you don't have the leadership skills, you don't have that yet. You're building on yourself to become a great leader, and that's there. So understand that the 6-figure checks are not coming. They're not going to be there. It's going to be kind of tough to get a job because you have all these great education, but they're going to look at you. So your window might be a little bit tight. It's not like you cannot get through. It's going to be a little tight, but you're going to look for opportunities in management, and they're going to see what programs they have for you to get involved with, though. So, but it depends on what you want to do, and also what your background is looking like. I don't know if you might have that significant other, you might have the family situation, where you're coming from. All that plays in a part. Research it, look it out, see how much it costs. Go back to the question that we talked about. Invest in the same amount of time that you thought about coming to Cal State Long Beach. It's the same thing going to graduate school. So wherever you think that you want to fit in, how it's going to work out for you, have that talk, have that sit down. And it's a little bit different because now you're paying for it. Unless you're getting that good research, those scholarships and grant funds and stuff, it comes out of your pocket now. So that's mine.
Yeah, I honestly agree with you. And just me personally, you know, I'm an older student. So I was just, that really motivated me. And so I honestly wanted to go from, you know, point A to point B, knowing that I had that support. So definitely know yourself, you know, and do your research to kind of find out if that's what you want to do. Working is a really good opportunity as well, because as the individual just said right now, that it is seriously an asset. Like especially, it makes your conversations more robust. It honestly gets you ahead of the game too, and that really helps because it is competitive when you're in grad school. But yeah, that's my take.
Thank you so much. I really do want to respect everyone's time. We have hit our limit, but thank you, speakers. You guys were wonderful. And if you guys, or if the speakers do not mind sharing your information, I know that you already emailed me your information. I know that students are always willing to reach out, ask more personal one-on-one questions, and really get in touch with our speakers. So if you do not mind, send me your information if you are willing. And then we can put it in our Discord chat where most people usually ask questions. But again, thank you so much. You guys are wonderful. And thank you everyone for asking questions. You guys did really well. All righty. Thank you guys so much.